Amazing. Thanks, Sean. And maybe let's just stick with you for a bit in the whole concept of character development and the role character does play in a company culture and in building a positive company culture. So the question I have for you, Sean, is what does individual character, especially for leaders and for leadership, have to do with company culture? And we know a lot about skills development, we know a lot about EVP interventions, employee experience interventions, but this whole concept of character development, could you expand on that for us and just provide a couple of examples around how you've seen this work within organizations?
So as an introduction, Jen, let me say this. Company culture does not need to change. I'll say that again. Company culture does not need to change. Company culture is the result of change. Company culture is not a problem that needs to be solved. Current company culture is the result of problems that are not being solved. Company culture is not broken that it needs to be fixed. Neither is company culture unhealthy that it needs to be healed, and neither is company culture toxic that it needs to be transformed. So I often say that we blame company culture for what the character of leaders and our people are responsible for. And so part of our slogan, and it's part of the offering that we have, is that character creates company culture. So why do we say character creates company culture? Company culture is more than just an accumulation of individual skill sets and competencies, intelligences, qualifications, gifts and talents and personality. First and foremost, company culture is an accumulation of individual character. You cannot get away from that fact. So when we hire people, you're not just hiring the skill sets and the qualifications and experience of the individual, you are hiring the character of the individual, even though within the recruitment and selection process, unfortunately, not much time and effort is given to prioritizing the character of the individual. And I normally say you are not your skill set, you are not your intelligence, you are not your qualifications, neither are you your title or your position, you are your character. So wherever you are, so too is your character. You cannot separate yourself from your character. So companies hire leaders and staff, of course, and based on their qualifications, their levels of experience and their skills and their competence, they assume that leadership will be successful, and this is not a guarantee. The presence of strong skills, in other words, competencies, does not guarantee a strong company culture. Think about this. Company culture, maybe even yours for the audience that we have here today, are filled with the highest levels of educated, bright, smart, gifted, talented, intelligent, knowledgeable, and qualified people. Yet despite this, those very same cultures, those very same company cultures are also filled with the highest levels of toxicity, disrespect, abuse, victimization, sabotage, stress, maliciousness, low staff morale, high staff turnover, stress, and decline in employee mental health. The reality is this: the presence of strong skill is never enough to create and sustain a strong, healthy company culture. And skills development has its place. But let me say this: skills development at the expense of character development produces a culture of educated bullies. I think that warrants to repeat. Skills development at the expense of character development produces, in fact, it has already produced a culture of educated bullies. So this in itself is proof that it takes much more than strong skills, competencies to create a strong, healthy culture. It takes developing the character of the individual. So skills development will always be critical. There will never not be a need for skills development, but skills development is not the only solution to every company culture crisis issue. Character creates company culture. Now, everyone wants healthy company culture, but everyone ignores the character that creates company culture. So whatever the condition of your company culture right now, you may never have thought of it this way, but I can almost guarantee you, whatever the condition of your company culture, healthy or unhealthy, good or strong, whatever, the character of your leaders especially and your people have helped create that culture. There are many building blocks to building company culture, but there is only one foundation, I believe, on which these various building blocks can be built on. Every one of these building blocks needs a foundation, just like building a house. And every one of you is sitting in a room, in a house, in an office right now. You don't see the foundation, but the foundation is there. The structure that you have surrounding you is only standing strong because somebody took the time, the builders took the time to lay the foundation. And on top of the foundation, do you take your building blocks and you build the structure that you want. But no foundation, where there is no foundation, no structure can stand. So no matter how great the quality of the building blocks, skills, knowledge, talents, education, experience, qualifications, skills development, personal development, leadership development programs, etc. Without the foundation of character, no building, no company culture can ever be successful, can ever be built, can ever be sustained. The process of building company culture starts with first laying the foundation of character. And so while my colleagues are going to come and add the blocks and the bricks to the structure of getting to company culture, my part in this process is saying we got to get back to the basics of what company culture consists of, and that is the foundation is character. Nothing successful has ever been built without the foundation. Miles Monroe said, character is the foundation of leadership. So if character is the foundation of leadership, and leadership creates and influences company culture, then the reality and the fact is this character is indeed the foundation of company culture. At the core of what a leader is and what a leader produces and how they treat people and the culture that they create for them is the personal character of the leader. So character creates company culture. Companies have unfortunately missed the mark when creating and building a strong company culture because their focus is on what contributes to company culture and not the character that builds the company culture. Let me close with this and let me ask just a few questions to our audience before I hand over to Jen. Some food for thought. As a company, as an individual, as an executive that is sitting here today, ask yourself these couple of questions. What company culture do you want? What individual behaviors do you want from your leadership and your employees? Is having leaders and employees of character part of the culture that you want? If yes, then whatever strategy your company has in place to create the culture that you want, developing the character of the leaders and of your employees must be part of that strategy. It is impossible to build company culture without building the character of the leaders in that culture. And one last closing statement from myself. We want change, we need change, we all expect change to happen. But let me say this, company culture changes when companies' approach to changing culture changes. What? From my perspective, I'm putting character on the table and I'm saying to companies, you want the culture that you want? Besides focusing on the building blocks, let's get the foundation right. Once the foundation is in its place, everything else that you build will be sustained. But character creates company culture. Change demands change. So whatever change you want in your company culture, it literally does start in the character of the individual. Ultimately, you are your character, and how you treat people, the relationship that you build is based upon your character.